Our next presenter fell victim to when you do a good job, you get asked to do it again. When Studebaker presented last year at our PD workshop, we've asked him back this year again to talk about the Arkansas IPM program.
I guess the take-home message is don't do a good job today and I won't have to do this again. Is that what you're telling me? I do appreciate the opportunity to talk about this. I kind of felt like I was the new guy until this morning. I've been doing this for about 3 years now, but apparently there's several that are a lot newer than I am, so turned into the old guy on the block apparently. But I'm going to give kind of a brief synopsis of IPM, and I kind of wanted to start this with the titles going on. What are our challenges? What's the number one challenge for IPM? That's kind of one of the things that we deal with in Arkansas is, how do we get IPM out there? It's been around for a long time. And I think, our number one problem is getting our message heard. It's communication, getting the information out there. Kind of feels like people aren't listening to us anymore. And it's kind of, we try to work with consultants and growers, and sometimes I feel like this is what we're doing. What? I'm not listening. So how do we get it out there? We have a president now who his message was make America great. I thought, well, maybe we can make IPM great again. Maybe that's what we need to do. Have a catchy slogan, maybe that'll work. But we don't really need to make IPM great again. IPM is a system that works. We know it works. And so we don't need to make it great again. It's already effective. It's a cost-effective system to manage pests, whether insects, diseases, or weeds. And how, so why aren't we getting our message out there? So one of our, and part of that is our challenges. There's a lot of, today in this time in history, people are inundated with information from all sources out there. We're kind of overloaded with it. I was watching TV the other day, and the people were actually writing books about how to deal with information overload. And, we have our smartphones and computers and television, now there's like these retreats to get away or put your cell phone away and limit your cell phone use, things like that. Because it's affecting our brains, apparently. I don't know how that all works, but, we have multiple sources of information out there. And these are just some of them. I mean, social media and the internet, that's probably one of our number one challenges is, we're bad in extension. I've been doing this for 28 years, so now you really feel like the old guy, Joe. But, doing this for a long time, and it used to be that it wasn't hard to get our information out there because we didn't have cell phones when I first started. We wrote letters and actually sent them in the mail to people, and they would wait 3 or 4 days to get the information and actually use it. Now they want to know, I want to answer now. Right, Tom? They want to know now immediately whenever they have a question. So, they're all on social media. They're all, Facebook, Twitter. But they also get a lot of information from industry. And I'm not saying that that's industry is also our clientele. I think that we work with them as well, but sometimes our information may contradict a little bit. They have their objectives that they need to meet, and we have ours. And then academia, that's the people, most of the people in this room, that's where our information, we're trying to get that information out there. And we kind of sometimes, like I said, well, that's the way we've always done it, but the old way we've always done it maybe isn't keeping up with the time. So we've got to come up with some other ways to do it. There's several other challenges. I think that was our number one, but the other one is for a grower, and a lot of them we're talking about the grow crop. And I'll talk about the rest of our program in a little bit, but convenience. A lot of this stuff goes, a lot of the pest management decisions that are made, a grower a lot of times with what's more convenient for me, whether it be pest management, irrigation. I mean, I know our irrigation specialists fought for years. Well, it's 4th of July weekend's coming up, and I want to go to the lake for 3 days, so I'm going to either irrigate now or wait, timing on things. And that's really what it comes down to, is growers' convenience. And then again, commodity prices. And what I've seen, for several years we had pretty high commodity prices, and that's when I had my hardest time getting growers to listen and actually follow IPM practices, because they were making money. Okay, if I want to, go across the field, I'm going to spray it good, throw some more stuff in the tank, even though I don't need it. They were okay with spending money. So when prices are high, money's not tight, they're less apt to listen to IPM. Now, this past year, commodity prices have been kind of low. Growers are actually more attentive. They're looking for ways to save money. Again, they're turning back to IPM. I think they know, most of them have been in this business for a long time, know that it works. It's just they kind of sometimes get to forget. And when the bottom line starts to hurt them a little bit, or they're having trouble getting a loan, well, then they start going back to these IPM practices. The other thing, and this is with consultants and growers we have, is IPM really what we need, to achieve our maximum yield? This concept that somehow got out there that IPM will give you is set up for average yield, for the average grower, the average field, and maybe we've communicated that in the past, I don't know. But they believe that it really will only produce an average yield. Well, I don't want to produce an average yield. I want to produce the top yield in my county, for the state. And I think following economic thresholds may not do that. They're set too high. They don't understand how our economic thresholds are set. And I think a lot of this, one of our problems is this the result of these high yield contests that are sponsored. They take that little 10 acres and they throw the kitchen sink at it and make, bumper crop yields, and they do it's a lot of automatic applications. They don't scout it. It's all geared towards that. And I actually had a grower say, I'm tired of that. Why don't we have a contest where who has the highest bottom line? Who made the most money instead of the highest yield? And maybe that's what we need to do as I do first. Maybe we can put a program together. Hey, give an award out to the guy who had the best bottom line. Because really, when it comes to IPM, it is the most cost-effective method. In Arkansas, our system is a lot like some of the other states. We all do things a little different. It depends because we're regionally different. But we have a kind of a coordinated approach in 5 years. Row crop IPM, that's kind of what I'm going to talk about mostly at this talk, but we also, have the guy that oversees some animal IPM in the state. On this western side of the state, Arkansas is kind of a diverse state. On the eastern side of the delta, a lot of row crops. Western side, a lot of animal, we have poultry, livestock. So we have a kind of a diverse state. And then, of course, we have urban centers as well, so we have urban IPM as well. And then there are some specialty crops in the state, and this is an area that's actually starting to grow, even over in the Delta region. We've got some commercial vegetable growers that are starting to really come in, looking for ways to make money. And of course, some of our money supports our diagnostic lab, and Jerry, I think, is giving a talk later today or tomorrow about the diagnostic lab, and we do help support some of that stuff as well. It's a team approach in Arkansas. We have, like Joe said, different disciplines. We need to coordinate. So we don't just talk about entomology. We do have I am the coordinator. I am an entomologist. We have several entomologists that work in row crops. We have Kelly Lofton who works with animals, and then Don Johnson in Fayetteville, which really kind of oversees our specialty crop. He works in fruits and nuts. And then John Hopkins in urban. We also have plant pathology. I think they're all here. Travis, Terry, and Sherry with the diagnostic clinic. Travis and Terry help a lot with the row crop IPM. And then we actually have some weed scientists that we've had to encourage a lot, but they are starting to participate with herbicide resistance in weeds. Has become a problem, and they're starting to see, well, you need to maybe look at IPM programs or an IPM approach to weed control. So we got that. And we also include agronomists kind of to help oversee the whole thing and give input. So we have all these people that kind of help put stuff together to help with our program. And this group, we work together to kind of put together an approach. In Arkansas, what we do, we have county ag agents in every county. So we have a county agent in every county. Not all states have that anymore. So we have feet on the ground in every county. So we try to work with those people. Now what we do with our federal, the IPM money is we take pretty much most of that, and we basically try to fund programs at the county level with the county agents. What we do is a mini grants program. We basically set this up with, and it's not just in row crops, we do it with the animal IPM and some of the others as well. They provide an IPM program that's focused in some areas in their county, so they can tailor it to the specific needs of their clientele. Because we do have a diverse state, it's not every county has the same problem. So they do a proposal. This is good for the agents. It gives them a chance to kind of get into grant writing. And we have a lot of new county agents in Arkansas. We've had a lot of retirements, people leave. We have a lot of new agents in the last few years. So it's a really good opportunity for us to help train them. And that's what we use some of that money for. But they have to have an IPM focus in the proposal. And we'll talk about the row crop IPM. But the other, animals is kind of the same way. I'm going to focus on row crop IPM because I really kind of oversee that. The way we kind of split the money up, about half of our money goes to row crop IPM because half the state is really row crop. And then the rest of it is kind of split up between the diagnostic lab, animal IPM, and specialty crops. But we grow cotton, soybean, corn, grain sorghum, rice, and we have peanuts that actually increase in acreage in Arkansas. But they have to put a proposal together. Has to include some kind of demonstration, some kind of pest management. They have to have an outreach component and a budget. So they have to learn, how to put all this stuff together. And I think it really does help them. And they have to give us a report at the end of the year. What we used to do when I first took over this program, what we were doing was, we were kind of doing it by crop. What the agents put together, give us an IPM proposal. Especially some of the newer agents, they weren't sure what the needs of their clientele were. They would just kind of throw a ballpark thing out there, or here's how much money I need that you're going to give me, whatever, you've already decided. And they really weren't focusing. Some of them were doing irrigation demos, variety demos, but they had no IPM component to it. So what we started doing as a committee, and we do have some county agents on the committee as well, is that we kind of come up with a list of priorities, things that we see as high priorities for them to focus on IPM. They don't have to pick something off this list. If they've got a specific need in their county that they want to focus on, then they can put that in there. And these are some of the things that we've done as far as insects. And we've got a big list. One of the things we're probably going to add this year is cover crops. Because of the resistant weed problem, a lot of growers are looking at cover crops as a way that we scientists are encouraging this to help manage resistant weeds, which is great. But, it could increase problems from other pests, both insect and disease, depending on what kind of cover crop and how do you manage that. And what we have seen in some instances is that created some problems with insects in some of the instances, and it may with diseases as well. So, we're going to maybe look at doing some surveys, at least with some of the agents on the cover crops. But these are just a list of the things. Sugarcane aphid, of course, has been a big pest that's moved in. May not be a big pest for Arkansas this coming year, because we went from 450,000 acres 2 years ago of grain sorghum in the state down to a little over 40,000 last year, and they're saying it's going to be less than that. So that may not be a big focus, because we may have trouble finding grain sorghum to look at this coming year. But kudzu bug is one that I'm going to talk about that's just moved in, that keystone borer, rice stink bug, southwestern corn borer monitoring. We have in parts of the state a poultry producer that basically is buying non-GMO corn. They have a market for that, and they're paying a premium for growers that have certified non-GMO corn. So with the non-GMO corn, southwestern corn borer management becomes an issue. We didn't have much non-GMO corn several years ago, so growers really weren't thinking about southwestern corn borer. Now we're really trying to focus on that and monitoring for this pest, because it's going to build up. I think we had close to 37,000 acres, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that was a lot more than what we've ever had this past year, and it looks like it may go up this coming year as far as corn production. But, they're getting 70 cents to $1 extra a bushel, so it's pretty attractive for some of these growers. And I already talked about cover crops and some other areas. We also have weed control in there, so the weed scientists have input. A lot of that has to do with resistance management, basically just managing weeds. And, again, cover crops is one of the things that they're really looking at. It actually puts some IPM in there as far as controlling weeds. But we do work with those, and of course the plant pathologists help with that as well. Again, you'll see some of these demos and some of these areas of focus kind of overlap. This automatic application is one we have in insects, but it also with diseases as well. And this is, again, mostly for soybeans. But host plant resistance, rice, we have a lot of rice in Arkansas. We have plots that people put out, variety plots, and they also look for resistance in monitor that. Disease surveys, and it kind of depends on what the disease is going to be. We can, you all know that you can't really predict what's going to be the problem this coming year, so we have to also be flexible with this program as well. I'm going to go over just a few of the programs that we do. Pest and bug management is one of them. We do a pest and bug survey. This thing was detected in 2014. And what we were looking at this program is to kind of track the movement of this thing in the state. And, it started out in one county. It took forever for it to finally cross the river, the Mississippi River, come into Arkansas, but it did. And in 2015, all the states in yellow participated in it, basically a survey using this IPM money. And we could see that it began to move. And so we're able to track the movement of this thing. 2016, it twice. In 2016, it again, has pretty much moved across the whole Delta. It's not moving real fast, but again, this year we're going to have them participate in the program, and we're able to track the movement of this pest. Now, all these counties are finding testing bugs, but we're also doing educational programs. This is a bug that scares these guys because it multiplies. It takes a lot of them for them to have a yield loss, and they have to wait. And we had a pretty good program in several counties where the numbers were high. A lot of growers, they would spray, but the agents were working with them, and they avoided spraying and saved some money. And that's kind of a success story that we can put out there to help them know what to do. The one and done program, and again, we work with Terry and Travis on this because this is an insect and a disease thing. A lot of these things in soybeans. Again, a lot of this was pushed by industry, automatic application. And then they went to 2 automatic applications to really get your yield up there. Again, the growers are winning these yield contests. They're using this program, so this is again kind of pushing this, promise increased yields. So again, we're having the agents work with growers and with their consultants. We want them to include consultants in this and work together, basically to demonstrate does this program work or not, and determine the profitability of it. Yeah, we may have higher yields, but how much did it cost you? And we share those results with growers across the state and at winter meetings and things like that. But they work with those, they scout the plots with the consultant. And some of the tests, the consultant scouts and calls us and says, hey, I'm starting to see something. And the way this thing worked is we had an automatic and then we had an IPM plot where, okay, we spray when you get threshold, whether it's for insects or for disease, and then determine which of those approaches work. And again, this is from 2050 data, but in some instances, a lot of times we didn't see a yield difference. Now, we had a little bit of an increased program this past year, and you can see that, in one field, I think it was, and a couple of those, we actually saw the automatic application seem to have a higher yield. And I think in 2016, some of those were based more on the fungicide than on the insecticide. So, what are we going to do with this information? In some instances, it looks like the one and done is what we need to do. Other instances, it's not. And really, I think this is brings more questions as to, maybe our thresholds or scouting or whatever needs to be looked at a little more in detail and see what's going to work. But yeah, that's a good cross-discipline. This is some of the data from one of the county demonstrations, and he actually went through and gave the economic breakdown and showed where they made money or lost money. In every instance, and this is in 2015, they didn't treat a threshold. They never reached threshold in the field. So he didn't treat the audit. So obviously, the automatic application wasn't a big enough yield increase to justify the cost. So that's one of the things we're doing. Resistant weed surveys is a big thing that we're doing with the weed scientists. And this is just one of the county reports. This is information that the agent can give to his farmers. Hey, we do have resistant weeds in the county. And so we need to tailor our herbicide program to deal with that. And this is just one of the reports. Agents does a great job of putting these reports together, and he gives it to his clientele and that winter meeting, and this really helps a lot. All right, kind of want to summarize the IPM program. Benefits of this thing. We do see this delivers IPM at the county level. And it gives us the ability to focus on those areas. It's a flexibility. It depends on what the deal is going to be. Is custody bug or is target spot going to be an issue again this year? Is that really what we need to focus on? we're using the data from these surveys. They're beneficial to us to help us kind of track in time and to know what's going on across the state. And it does encourage, especially the new agents, to get out there in the field and get involved with the farmers and get to know the consultants and actually work with them. And also gets some experience in grant writing. Drawbacks is time consuming. It takes a lot of time to put all this stuff together. I have to go through and review the proposals with the committee. It takes some extra time to do that, and accountability, making sure that they're actually doing the program. You know, a lot of this money they use for travel to go to the field and maybe buy a few supplies, but then getting reports from agents. If they don't give us reports, they don't get funded the next year. That's the only way we can really make them accountable. All right, Joe stood up for an inquest.